Throughout the United States, radicalistic religious groups and cults lead widespread organizations of people with like-minded objectives and beliefs. Most popular of these groups include the KKK, People's Temple, and Heaven's Gate. Today, 10,000 cults remain in the United States, leaving many cults unknown, and members inside are silently suffering. Good morning, my name is Samantha Murray, and my research question is, since the 1900s, to what extent does the idea of groupthink and religious cults negatively impact trauma-induced disorders of current and ex-members? And my argument is, the exploitation of groupthink and the aspect of religious cults negatively impacts current and former members substantially with trauma-induced disorders. To preface, it is important to know what groupthink is. According to the Collins Dictionary, groupthink is the tendency of members of a committee, profession, etc. to conform to those opinions or feelings prevailing within the group. Groupthink is seen to be a negative psychological phenomenon. As you can see here from this graph provided by the AP College Board stimulus list, it shows the liabilities of synchrony. Here, we see groupthink, and its liabilities being less group dissent and less attention to minority perspectives. Another definition crucial to the understanding of my argument is the definition of religious cults. Religious cults is a complex phenomenon, so it's hard to get a definite definition. According to Stefan Preteris, professor at the University of South Africa, a religious cult is a relatively small, often transitory religious group that commonly follows a radical believer who is believed to have a special talent, gift, knowledge, or calling. To begin with my first claim, when present in a cult, exposure to groupthink is substantial and overall used negatively. Sparking the thought of how do people enter a cult and how do people partake in groupthink? The answer to this is mind control. Mind control is a four-step process, starting with first contact. First contact is the initial introduction to the cult. This can be through family, friends, recruitment exercises, and invitations. The next step is loosening. Loosening is leaders loosening individuals from their way of life. Moving on to change. Change comes with confession sessions, which are sessions where members reveal past and present behaviors. It also comes with sensory deprivation, where people are deprived from external factors. And finally, group pressure, where group conformity is used as a powerful tool for change. Finally, ending the mind control process is establishing cult lifestyle, where members redefine their lifestyle to the cult's lifestyle. Likewise, with objective thinking in a cult, members become exposed to loads of trauma, starting with sexual assault. When there's constant groupthink in a cult, there is people that lose sense of morals and what is right versus what is wrong. Leaders also target the most vulnerable. Focusing on the specific cult, Children of God, led by David Berg. David Berg believed that love meant sex and sex meant God. He created comic-like literature called Mo letters, as you can see here and here. And these beliefs in these Mo letters contributed to the mass sexual assault of women and children. Berg went into hiding in 1971 as he was wanted by the FBI and died later in 1994 in Costa Rica without facing any charges for his crimes. Next, focusing on violence in cults inside and outside. Two people that partaked in this is the KKK in Jonestown, also known as the People's Temple. Beginning with the KKK that was founded in the 1800s and prevailed in the Roaring '20s. The KKK that was a white supremacist group that targeted those who were not white. They committed burnings, tortures, and murders. They killed many people, although there is not a dead set number on how many people they affected. This caused a lot of trauma for those involved in a group. Next, focusing on Jonestown, led by Jim Jones. Jonestown's goal was an egalitarian society free of problems of class and race. Those who joined had low incomes and felt alienated from society. On the horrific night of November 19, 1978, members drank what they believed to be Kool-Aid, but it turned out to be poison, killing 918 of the members. Finally, in trauma is abuse. From a study conducted by credible psychologists, surveying 31 former cultists about characteristics of cultic groups, the results showed that abuse comes in 4 different ways: humiliation, punishment, oral and physical violence, and psychological abuse. Humiliation at the top, with 54.8% of members experiencing this, punishment in the middle at 38.7%, and oral and physical violence and psychological abuse at the bottom with 32.3%. Taking into consideration this was only people surveyed who were able to leave the cult, this number is projected to be much higher if surveying those who are still in cults today. A complementary claim to trauma is trauma-induced disorders in both current and former members. In a study conducted by credible psychologists, about anxiety disorders, it showed that anxiety disorders increased during the membership. Preceding entering the cult, 51.6 members surveyed had an anxiety disorder, and during it shot up to 58.1, and after shot up again to 61.3, showing that anxiety disorders are increasing due to the cult. Next, focusing on mood disorders, which shows slightly a different trend. Mood disorders decrease as they increase again, as you can see preceding at 45.2%, and during dropping to 35.5%, most likely due to the leaders manipulating members to believe they don't have these disorders. But after leaving the cult and leaving their leader, it shoots back up again to 54.8%. With this prevailing issue at hand, there must be ways to prevent this from continuing. My solution to this comes in 3 prongs. The first being support programs. With some support programs already in place assisting members, with more support programs comes more help for more people. However, ethically, you cannot force people to join a support program, so there's no guarantee that people will join. The next prong is fundraisers and campaigns. Fundraisers and campaigns can help spread awareness about cults and can help people leave cults and can help people avoid joining a cult. But it's hard to spread information that isn't already well known, so it'll take extensive marketing to get people to know the right information about cults. Finally, special trained therapists for cult survivors. Special trained therapists for cult survivors are specifically trained to help people in cults, so they'll be more beneficial than just trauma therapists. Despite this, cults manipulate their members that they only need their leader. Therefore, these therapists could face initial rejection. Taking these limitations into consideration, if these solutions still prove successful, trauma disorders will decrease due to cults. Here's my Works Cited page. Thank you. Any questions?
I do have 2 questions for you. First question, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process?
My research question evolved a lot because it started way too broad, and I just had how groupthink affects mental health. And then I was thinking more and made it too specific about how groupthink affects depression in cult members, and it was way too specific, and I didn't have enough words to fill the word count. So then I eventually found a happy medium with how groupthink affects anxiety disorders and trauma-induced disorders in current and ex-cult members.
Okay. And what advice would you have for researchers that consider this a topic in the future?
Advice I would have is first knowing exactly how groupthink is used in cults, because then later on you can know more about how it's used and then how it affects the cult members and their disorders, because knowing overall how groupthink affects can overall make a difference in how anxiety disorders are affected in members.